The day Jessie died, the wind carried dust like gunpowder through the hills. It was mid-afternoon when the rattler Strook coiled beneath the porch rail, hidden in shade. 1 second, Jessie was reaching for his slingshot. The next, he was gasping. In my arms, eyes wide, neck already swelling with venom. Asterisk 12 years old. Gone in minutes. Asterisk, I buried him behind the barn, under the same tree he used to climb when his ma was still with us. My wife Eliza passed bringing him into this world. Jessie was all I had left. And now the house creaked too loud, the rooms echoed empty, and the land felt like it had turned its back on me. Asterisk names Boone Mercer. Used to wear the badge Texas Ranger, back when right and wrong were simpler things. When Eliza died, I hung it up and bought 50 acres outside Dry Hollow. Figured I'd raise Jessie in peace, away from gun smoke and hung-yean trees. But peace never lasts long out here. Not for men like me. Asterisk 3 weeks after Jessie's death. I was sitting on the porch with a bottle of rye and a ghost of a prayer when a wagon creaked into view. The horse was bone thin. The driver worse Elias Trumbull, known drunk and loudmouth. Coward. He pulled up slow, one hand on the reins, the other clamped around the wrist of a child. Asterisk, she was little, dark-haired, rail-thin, barefoot. Maybe 10 years old. Clothes torn at the hem. Her face was blank. No fear, no tears. Just watch in single quotes. Asterisk got something for you. Boone, Elias called, breath stinking even from 10 paces. This here's my daughter. Or was, till her. Mama died and I got no use for a mouth that don't speak and ears that don't hear. Asterisk, he shoved her forward. She stumbled but didn't cry out. Asterisk, she's deaf, he said. Can't talk, neither. Useless, but she's quiet and works like a mule. Thought maybe you'd want her. $5 and she's yours. Asterisk, I stood, heart pounding. She ain't a sack of beans, Elias. Asterisk, she's alive 'cause I let her be. Ain't no charity in this world, Boone. You want her or not? Asterisk, she looked up at me, then eyes like storm clouds over canyon stone. I'd seen that kind of look once before, in a mirror, the day after Eliza died. It weren't pain or fear. It was absence. Asterisk, I didn't think. Just reached for my wallet, pulled out 5 worn bills, and handed them over. Elias laughed like he'd cheated death, turned his wagon around, and disappeared in a cloud of dust. Asterisk, the girl didn't move. Asterisk, I knelt in front of her. What's your name? She blinked once, then slowly shook her head. No name. Asterisk, no answer. Just those eyes, watching. Asterisk, I sighed and opened the front door. Come on then, you're safe here. She walked in without looking back. That night, I made her a bed in the loft, laid out some clean clothes, and tried teaching her a few hand signs I remembered from a ranger who lost his tongue to a Comanche arrow. She watched close, mimicked me careful. Smart girl. Quick. Asterisk, over the next few days, she cleaned the kitchen, fed the chickens, and swept the floors till they shined like they hadn't since Eliza's time. She never made a sound, never fussed, and never smiled. But she watched, always. Me, the land, the photos on the mantel, especially Jessie's. Asterisk, she seemed to study his face like it told a story. She was trying to learn. Asterisk, still no name. So I gave her one. Asterisk, Mercy, I said one morning, hand on her shoulder. I reckon that suits you. Asterisk, she nodded slow. Like maybe that name didn't belong to her, but she'd wear it just the same. Asterisk, by the end of the week, I'd caught myself laying out 2 plates instead of 1. Token to her like she could hear, like she understood every word. And maybe she did, in ways I couldn't fathom. But something still felt off. At night, I'd hear the floorboards creak when I knew she wasn't moving. Once, I found her outside near Jesse's grave, hands pressed to the dirt like she was listening through the ground. Asterisk, I figured she was mourning. Or maybe remembering someone buried elsewhere. Asterisk, I didn't know then what she was really doing, or what Elias Trumbull had really sold me. But I'd learn soon enough. Mercy settled into the ranch like a seed finds soil. She said nothing, of course, but her silence had weight like a hush before thunder. Every morning, she'd rise before the rooster, sweep the porch, fetch water, tend to the animals. But it wasn't the work that set her apart. It was her stillness. Not lazy or slow, no, just deliberate. Like every move she made was stitched to some hidden rhythm only she could hear. Asterisk, she'd taken a liking to the barn's loft, where Jesse once kept his slingshot and comic pamphlets. I let her have it. I didn't go poking around much. I noticed she started avoiding the chapel bell in town whenever we rode in for supplies. The tolling of it made her freeze up every time, like it echoed inside her, despite the deafness. Asterisk, I started watching closer. Asterisk, some nights, I'd find candle stubs burned down in odd places under the floorboards, or behind the woodshed. Symbols etched in soot on barn wall circles, lines, marks I didn't recognize. Once, I caught her sitting cross-legged in the field after sundown, staring at the sky with her palms open, whispering not with her mouth, but with her fingers, fast and wild, like a storm was moving through her hands. Asterisk, I confronted her one morning, showed her the soot markings I'd scraped off the stable post. Asterisk, she looked up at me with those cold gray eyes, as unreadable as stone. She made no effort to explain, just reached into her skirt pocket and pulled out a leather-bound book, no bigger than a man's palm. It was old, real old. Worn at the edges, the pages yellow and inked with strange script and ink drawings that curled like smoke. Asterisk, what is this? I asked Asterisk. She tapped the cover, then placed the book to her chest. Slowly, she drew her fingers across her lips, then tapped her temple. Asterisk, can't say. But I remember. That's what I figured she meant. I didn't press her. Not yet. But a shadow was starting to crawl across my gut, and I'd lived long enough to trust that feeling. Asterisk. Then came Reverend Silas Crane. Asterisk, he arrived at dusk in a coal-black wagon pulled by two pale horses, their ribs showing like knives beneath the skin. He stepped down, tall and gaunt, draped in a preacher's coat, wide-brimmed hat shadowing sunken eyes. His boots were polished, but the dust didn't cling to him like it should have. Asterisk, you Boone Mercer? He asked, voice low but firm. Asterisk, I am. Asterisk, I'm seeking a girl. Deaf, small, dark hair. Been missing some months now. Her name's Mercy. Or maybe something else, depending who's a skin. Asterisk, I felt my jaw tighten. Ain't no such girl here. Asterisk, he studied me, like a buzzard figuring whether to peck or wait. His eyes drifted past me toward the barn. Asterisk, I reckon she's touched by something unclean, he said after a pause. Left unchecked, such spirits grow teeth. You'd know that, Ranger. I hadn't told him I was once with the Rangers. You should leave, I said, before I remember how to aim without a badge. Asterisk, he smiled, thin. God bless you, Mr. Mercer. Asterisk, he rode off, but not quick. And not far. I saw his wagon make camp on the bluff that overlooked my land, just close enough to watch. Asterisk, that night, Mercy came to me with a lantern and the book. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and opened to a page near the back. Asterisk there, sketched in uneven charcoal, was a man who looked too much like Silas Crane's same face. Same eyes, but older, different, and beneath it, a word written in blocky script. Asterisk, watcher. Asterisk, I looked at her. She didn't blink. Asterisk, I whispered, what are you? Mercy, Asterisk. She pointed to the book, then to her heart. Then she lifted a single finger to her lips and shook her head. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't drink either. I sat on the porch with a loaded rifle and watched the ridge where Crane had pitched his camp. Asterisk. The dust was rising. Again, something was cumin. And I'd bought more than a little girl with $5. I'd bought into a war one couldn't yet see. And mercy. She wasn't no orphan. She was something else entirely. By sunrise, Reverend Silas Crane was gone from the bluff, but the stillness he left behind clung to the land like a snake coiled in tall grass. I found hoofprints near the stream 3 sets. He hadn't been alone. Worse, I spotted a crude symbol carved into a tree trunk down by the fence line, a circle broken by a jagged X through the center. The same mark I'd seen scorched on the back page of Mercy's book. Asterisk. She saw it too. Stood beside me, face pale as bone, hands trembling. Asterisk. What does it mean? I asked. Asterisk. She didn't sign, didn't try. Just stepped forward and pressed her palm flat against the mark. The wind shifted. Cold. Wrong. Asterisk. Then she turned, locked eyes with me, and tapped her chest 3 times before drawing a crooked cross in the air. Asterisk. My gut turned. It wasn't a prayer. It was a warning. Asterisk. That night, I barred the windows, loaded the rifle, and lit lanterns through the house. Mercy curled up in the loft, but didn't sleep. Neither did I. I sat in Jesse's old rocker with a rifle across my knees, heart ticking like a bad clock. The fire popped once, then again, then silence, too quiet. I stepped out onto the porch, boots crunching against the dirt. The moon hung low and swollen. I could smell the horse's fierce sweat and piss. Then I saw him, Asterisk. Crane, standing just beyond the fence, hat off, hands folded like he was fixing to bless the dead. Asterisk. Boone, he said, soft as ash. I tried to come in peace. Asterisk. You come any closer, I'll blow your black heart clean out. Asterisk. He smiled. She's not a child. She's a vessel. Asterisk. You're lying. She's a girl. Asterisk. No, she's a door. Asterisk. Before I could draw a bead, I heard it something snapping in the woods. I turned, heart hammering. Shapes moved in the dark, 2 men, maybe 3, cloaked and silent. Creeping toward the barn, I bolted inside. Mercy? I shouted, talking the steps 2 at a time. Asterisk. She was already up, already waiting. Her eyes were wide but dry. She signed, fast circle, gate, danger, protect. I didn't understand it all, but I understood enough. Asterisk. There, cumin for you, I said, pulling her behind me. Asterisk. The first of them burst through the barn door, one of Crane's men, face painted in soot and blood. I fired once, and he dropped like a sack of grain. Another leaped at me from the side, blade catching moonlight. We hit the ground hard, rolled in the hay. He slashed wild, but I drove the butt of my rifle into his jaw till it cracked like firewood. Asterisk. Outside, hooves pounded. I heard Crane chanting in some language. I'd never heard a throat full of broken syllables and hollow vowels. Asterisk. Mercy darted down the ladder, book clutched in her hands. She moved toward the open field, barefoot, bareheaded, with purpose in every step. Asterisk. No, I roared, scrambling after her. Get back inside. But she stood still beneath the stars, opened the book and held it up to the sky. The wind howled, sudden and sharp. The trees bent like they were bowing. The ground hummed beneath our feet. Crane shouted louder now, his voice desperate. And then Mercy dropped the book. Asterisk. It hit the earth and ignited, flames pouring out like it had oil for blood. The fire swirled in a tight circle around her, climbing high. Then higher till it formed a column of light that split the sky. Asterisk Crane screamed not in rage, but fear. His men fled. Asterisk, but Crane didn't run. Acacia staggered toward the fire. Hands raised. She don't belong to you. He howled. She's mine. She carries the Gaichi asterisk. A gust of wind slammed him back, tossed him like a rag. His head struck a rock, and he went still. The flames vanished all at once, and Mercy collapsed. Asterisk, I ran to her, lifted her from the dirt. Her skin was ice, breath shallow, but she was alive. Asterisk, the book was gone. Only ashes remained. Asterisk, she stirred, barely, and reached up. Her fingers traced words on my palm, slow, unsure. Thank you. I held her close. Watching the stars blink back into place, asterisk, and for the first time since Jessie died. I wept, because I knew now I hadn't saved her. She'd saved me. Asterisk, the fire left a scar in the field black, round, perfectly shaped, like the mark of something divine or damned. The grass never grew there again. Some nights, when the wind blew just right, I swear I could hear that book crackling, though it burned to dust. Asterisk, I buried Reverend Crane where he fell. Not out of mercy, out of necessity. Coyotes were thick that season, and I didn't want Mercy finding his remains half-gnawed come morning. Asterisk, we didn't speak of that night, not with words nor signs. But things changed. Asterisk, Mercy began smiling in small ways. Just the corners of her mouth, soft and unsure. She started sleeping through the night. Her hands, once frantic and secretive, moved slower, more open. She'd sit beside me on the porch come dusk, watching the horizon with quiet eyes that held no fear anymore. Only thought, asterisk. I rebuilt Jessie's grave marker, replaced the simple wooden cross with a stone etched deep. Mercy helped me set it. She ran her hands over the name like she was memorizing it. Then placed a smooth rock atop it, something she did every morning afterward. Some kind of ritual, something sacred. Asterisk, weeks passed, then a month. The ranch quieted. No sign of Crane's followers. No strangers creeping the ridgelines. Just work, soil, sun, and silence. Asterisk, one night, while oiling the hinges on the barn door, I found her in Jessie's loft. She'd made it her own, now hung wind chimes made of nails and old glass. Drawn quiet pictures in charcoal on the beams. Stars, trees, a boy with a slingshot. Asterisk, she motioned for me to sit. I did. Asterisk, then. Slowly, she reached into a cloth satchel I hadn't seen before and pulled out something wrapped in faded blue cloth. She placed it in my hands. It was a letter, unopened. I frowned. What's this? Asterisk, she pointed to the seal of wax crest I didn't recognize. Then to herself. Then to the drawing of the boy. Asterisk, I opened the letter carefully. The handwriting was shaky, the ink old and starting to fade. Greater than, to the one who keeps her safe, she won't remember me, and I won't live long enough to see her grow. But Mercy is more than a child. She is the last of something old, something that watched when the stars were born. She's not a curse, she's a key. A door left open to long brings. Things that should never cross. But in her, there is also balance. If she finds a home, truly finds it, the gate stays closed. The watchers can't follow where there is peace. Asterisk, keep her safe. Let her belong. That's all she's ever needed. I sat with that letter in my lap for a long while, the wind brushing past like a voice just out of reach. Asterisk, Mercy watched me the whole time, quiet and still. Then she took my hand, pressed it to her chest, and nodded once. Asterisk, she didn't need to say a word. I understood. Asterisk, she'd been hunted her whole life for what she carried inside. Not evil, not power, potential, and the only thing that kept the darkness at bay was love, a place to call home. Asterisk, I nodded back. You've got that now, for as long as breath's in me. Asterisk, in the years that followed, Mercy grew, taller, stronger. She learned to plant rows straight as rifle shots, mend fence wire, ride bareback. We made up signs together, our own language. All expression and grace. Asterisk, the townsfolk called her the mute girl or Boone's shadow. But I never corrected M. Let M wonder. Let M gossip. Didn't matter. Asterisk, they didn't see how she'd stop in the pasture, hand raised, and the cattle would calm. How animals didn't fear her. How birds came close. How she felt things most folks couldn't name. Asterisk, she belonged to the land now, and the land seemed to know it. Asterisk, one spring, she came to me with a smile real wide, rare as rain. She held out a single bell, rusted, small, one I thought long lost. Jessie's. She pressed it to her ear. Of course, she couldn't hear it ring. Asterisk, but I swear she felt it. Asterisk, she closed her eyes. Her lips parted, and though no sound came, I heard her laugh louder than any thunder on the plains. Asterisk, and for the first time since Eliza died, since Jessie died, since my badge turned to rust, I believed in something greater than justice. I believed in grace, and her name was Mercy. Asterisk,